Morning everybody, my name's Simon. I founded Kar98K Facebook page, and there's been quite a few posts about upgrading springs on my Kar98K. I've already done a step-by-step guide, but I thought I would sort of set up a video of how to do it. So I'm going to run through basically taking the gun apart down to the piston and basically change the spring out. The first steps of taking the gun apart is basically go to the far end nozzle of the gun, and then what you've got the imitation cleaning rod. So just unscrew that. Sometimes they are a bit tight, so I use a screwdriver, but you can just unscrew that and then put that to one side. Then to get the end nozzle off, there's a tiny little Allen key, so basically unscrew that. Again, don't lose it because it's very, very small. There's the Allen key bolt, and there's the hole for the Allen key. I don't know if you can see that, just there. Now these end parts of the barrel can be quite tight if they've never come off. Mine comes off straight away because I've used some silicone grease on it. So literally that pulls off. And what you might need is a soft handled, soft mallet just to knock it off. But don't worry, they won't break. They are quite robust, as you can see. And then in there you've got the iron sights that move left to right. So the next step is basically take off this section, and all you've got is like a little spring loaded bracket there. So push it down and that whole section comes off. Then remove the little spring collar. And what that enables you to do now is release this bracket here, which holds the sling. That literally just slips off like that. So next up, what you've got an imitation top part of the stock there. Literally, that just pulls off like that. So now we're at a stage where all the front end is off, and what we need to do is turn the gun over and remove the two screws, one there and one there, that hold this complete trigger guard on. Yeah, to remove the trigger guard, all we've got literally is two flat-headed screws. So you just undo those. Excuse the size of the screwdriver. It's the first one I have to pick up. So what we've got two bolts, long one, the butt end, short one, the barrel end. There you go, like that. What that does now, splits the gun in two. You see the gun is now split in two. Just be aware that for that bottom bolt there's a little piece of metal, little spacer that goes, try and get it towards the camera, just in there when you put the gun back together, and that just slips in there. I'll do that when we put it back together. So now we've got all the main metal parts, and the first thing to do, we got two Phillips screws. One there and one on the other side, and we've also got a pin that we have to knock out there. So just undo those. This is where you need a hole punch, something to rest the gun on. And there's the pin, almost out. There you go. And now what you can do is split the gun apart. So we don't need this section. This is a section with the TNT upgraded barrel on hop-up unit inside there. And this is the piece that we need to dismantle to get the spring out. To be honest with you, there's not much to this. Once you get used to it, this is a 10-minute process. So what we have to do is knock this pin out here first, which basically goes through all the way through and holds this slide rail in place. Now, unlike me, use a nice hole punch, but I haven't got a hole punch that small. My mate's got one, I haven't, and what I need to do is use a little drill bit. You see the pin coming out, there's the pin out. What that allows you now to do is unclip this end and just slide that up, that little rail. Right, the next part to get the spring out is what we have to do is unscrew this nozzle. So, pair of pliers, firm grip, and unscrew the thing. Like so. Could be under pressure, your spring, but mine won't be because I've cut mine short. Basically, the piston's inside, and that's the nozzle. As you probably noticed, when I took my, this end unit off, the piston was right down the far end, i.e. it was prime, ready to fire. So all I've done is just screw it back on, pull the trigger, it's blown air through. Now I can undo it again, and the piston should be there. That's the TNT upgraded piston. Just pulls out like that, and there's that's my upgraded 500 FPS VSR spring, which I can just pull out. Right, this is just a little section I want to put in. If you've bought a 420 FPS gun, or you have a standard gun, Sweat Airsoft do a 500 FPS spring. Now, obviously, things in the gun need to be upgraded to take that. Even the 420 FPS spring. Basically, what you've got in the original, you've got a polymer piston. Whereas in the new version, you've got a nice aluminium metal cast one, which is a lot stronger. You've got various other TNT parts that basically make it stronger. As standard, I mean the Snowwolf Kar98K fires at. We had various things. We had one at 1 joule, we had one at 0.87 joules, round about the 300 FPS mark. As I'm using it as a sniper, I wanted more power, so I ordered the TNT upgrade kit. That comes as standard with a 420 FPS spring, which is this one here. But I wanted to go further. The only problem you get is that Sweat Airsoft, very good, supplying one of my new guns. Trouble is, from the UK, their postage is a fortune, and to be honest with you, it was $30 for the postage on a $10 spring. So I had to find another way of finding another spring from the UK that I could use that wouldn't cost me $40. So what we did was we had a measure of the 420 spring and worked out that basically these springs have got to be about 10 mil in diameter. So this is the 420 TNT one, and this measures zero it. This measures at 11.12 mil. Now the VSR one is 10.37 mil, 36 mil. Now there are various other VSR ones which are 12 mil, which will not fit in this upgraded cylinder. So basically that is the spring to get if you want a 500 FPS spring. You do have to cut it down, but and I think I ended up taking about 5 or 6 coils off. So what I will do, I'll measure the 420 and my VSR one just to give you an idea of what length you need to cut down to. So the 420 TNT spring is 170 mil. My cut down VSR one that fires at 500 FPS is 146 mil. So, but what I would do, if you are buying a spring from the UK, a VSR one, they do come out a lot longer. They come out probably about 170 mil. Cut off, try it on a chrono, cut some more off, try it. Basically it's a bit of a trial and error job, but eventually you will get there. Like I say, you can see the difference in my two springs. So on the left is the 420 FPS. On the right is a lot stronger VSR 500 FPS spring, and I find that works very well. Okay, then basically it's reversed to put it all back together again. So all I've done is inserted the spring down the cylinder inside the onto the spring guide. Next up, I need to put the piston back in. What we have found is my friend's one has worn both on these side quite a lot, so we smear some silicone grease on it just to stop it from wearing so quick. So literally smear some silicone grease on and then insert that piston into the cylinder. Like that. Before pushing it any further, again I use some silicone oil, which I'm trying to find here, just on this little rubber washer, just a little bit, and then around the whole thing like that, and then push the piston back in. So it's practically in. Next up, again, got another washer on the nozzle, just a little bit of silicone oil around that, and to be honest with you, you can almost get these in using your hand. Yes, you can. So screw that down like so, tying it with a pair of pliers. The new upgraded nozzle is very robust, so as you can see I'm losing the paint off mine because this gun's been apart about 12 times. That's nice and tight now. Next part is to put in the little piston guide. Again, I don't know if you can see, got some silicone grease there already, so we grease up the little knobs on there, just like that, and then clip that in place. Next stage is just put back in our small little pin that I got out with my drill bit. And it's practically back together. Next part the two pieces of the gun back together, push them tight. On that side, on the other. Then we've got the pin to go back in, a pair of pliers to set it on, big pin, back in. Guns back together. Okay, just the final part of putting the two parts back together again. Again, this is this spacer. So just slip that in so it's in there, and then plonk the top part, trying to get the trigger in the right place, like so. Turn the gun upside down and put the two screws back in. Again, I've got a tiny little electrical screwdriver to do this with, but what I will do is tighten it up properly once this gun's back together. So, short one at the front, long one at the back. This gun's actually getting some war wounds on it now, getting some marks on it, so it's looking a bit more realistic. Right, I'll tighten those up later. So basically the gun's back into one part now. Then we've got the imitation stock, just one way around, that way around. So basically a little module at that end pushes in there. Sling mount, straight on, holds it down. Little band, make sure you get it the right way, like that. Like that. End section of the gun clips into the little like that. Now we're really going quick now. Apologise, my GoPro battery just died just as I was finishing off. Basically we're back into this section, so it's just a question of use a bit of silicone grease around it. Mine's all greasy anyway. What it just does, it allows you to get it off easier next time. So literally slip it back on and just make sure that the two holes are aligned to put in your little Allen key bolt. This is extremely fiddly, but just don't drop it, don't lose it. I'm going to leave that, I'm going to do that later, and then finally screw in the imitation cleaner rod. And that is it. What I'll do, I'll chrono in a minute and just run through the tools that I've used to take this gun apart and do this. Literally, this makes a hell of a difference. The 500 FPS spring, I'm chronoing at my local UK site at 498 FPS. It's about 2.21 joules. I'm using Jeff's .046 BBs, and to be honest with you, I'm hitting targets at least 210, 250 feet, I would say max, maybe a little bit more. Very little hop up with the TNT hop up unit, but what I might do in the future is do a full strip down of the gun and show everybody all the upgrades that TNT have used for the gun. Okay, I hope you have liked the video and I hope it helps out with all these upgrades, and maybe you can watch the video and instead of keep asking me questions. But no, I'm quite happy to accept questions. I'll start up the Kar98K Facebook page because there wasn't one, and I thought maybe there should be one. Also run a local airsoft team called the Crows in Kent. But I'm glad. I hope you use the video and hope you like the video. Thanks very much. Cheers. Just a quick run through, literally seconds of the tools I've used: small hammer, pair of pliers, Phillips screwdriver, digital calipers just to show you the sizes of the springs. Use this type of screwdriver, not this type of screwdriver, which is rubbish. Tiny little Allen key. I'll probably post up in the comments the size of it. Hole punch and a tiny little drill bit I used. You can buy hole punches as smaller. They're all out of stock at the moment. Some gun oil. I've used silverback grease, and once again this is the VSR spring that I used to get my 500 FPS. Okay, cheers guys.